The arguments were always about money. Who spent too much? Who earned too little? Who was being irresponsible? The numbers on the bank statement became weapons, the budget a battlefield. But beneath the surface of every heated exchange, a deeper truth lay hidden, a silent, more potent adversary. We didn't fight about money. We fought about fear. It's the realization that financial conflicts are often just symptoms of a deeper, more primal struggle. The fear of insecurity, loss, and the unknown. Money, in our modern world, is often equated with security, freedom, and even love. We believe that if we just have enough, or manage it perfectly, we can control our destiny, protect ourselves from life's uncertainties. But this belief, while comforting, is often an illusion. When financial discussions turn into bitter disputes, it's rarely just about the numbers. It's about the anxieties they represent. The fear of not having enough, the fear of losing what we have, the fear of being vulnerable, the fear of not being loved or valued. How do we navigate these hidden fears and transform our relationship with money from a source of conflict to a tool for peace? If you've ever felt the grip of financial fear, consider subscribing to the Noble Wisdom Path, where we explore ancient wisdom for cultivating true security. The Buddhist perspective on money, fear, and attachment. In Buddhist teachings, the root of suffering is tanha, craving, or attachment. While money itself is neutral, our relationship to it, driven by our underlying fears and attachments, can become a powerful source of dukkha, suffering. Let's explore how Buddhist principles illuminate the hidden fears behind financial conflicts. 1. The fear of loss, vibhava-tanha, and anicca. Our deepest financial fears often stem from vibhava-tanha, the craving for non-existence, or more commonly, the fear of losing what we have. We cling to money, possessions, and financial stability as if they are permanent, ignoring the truth of anicca, impermanence. We fear losing our job, our savings, our home, our health, all of which are inherently impermanent. This fear drives us to accumulate, to hoard, to control, creating a constant state of anxiety. The arguments about money are often just outward expressions of this inner terror of loss, a desperate attempt to grasp at something inherently fleeting. 2. The fear of not having enough, kama-tanha and dukkha. Closely related is kama-tanha, the craving for sensual pleasures and experiences, which often translates into the desire for more money to acquire those things. This craving is fueled by the underlying belief that happiness and security lie in external acquisitions. When we believe we don't have enough, or that we need more to be happy, a deep sense of dissatisfaction and anxiety arises. This is dukkha, the suffering of dissatisfaction. The arguments about spending or earning are often a manifestation of this insatiable craving, a desperate attempt to fill an inner void with external resources, which can never truly be filled. 3. The fear of insecurity and vulnerability, dukkha and anatta. At a fundamental level, financial fears often expose our deepest anxieties about insecurity and vulnerability. We equate money with safety, with a buffer against the harsh realities of life. The thought of not having enough can trigger primal fears of survival, of being exposed and unprotected. This fear is exacerbated by our attachment to a fixed sense of self, anatta, believing that our worth, our identity, is tied to our financial status. When money is threatened, our very sense of self feels threatened, leading to intense emotional reactions and conflict. The arguments are not about money, but about the perceived threat to our very existence and identity. 4. The illusion of control and the burden of attachment, moha and upadana. Our fears about money are often rooted in moha, ignorance, the delusion that we can control external circumstances and that attachment to them will bring us happiness. This leads to upadana, clinging or grasping. We cling to money, not realizing that this very clinging creates suffering. The more we try to control, the more we suffer when things inevitably change. The arguments about money are a desperate attempt to assert control over an uncontrollable reality, a manifestation of our deep-seated ignorance about the true nature of security and happiness. A Buddhist path to peace. The good news is that by understanding the underlying fears and attachments, we can transform our relationship with money and with each other. This isn't about ignoring financial realities, but about approaching them with wisdom and compassion. Here's how Buddhist principles can guide you. 1. Cultivate mindful awareness of fear, sati. The first step is to bring mindful awareness, sati, to your financial fears. When an argument about money arises, pause. Instead of reacting to the numbers or the other person's words, notice the sensations in your body, the tightness in your chest, the racing heart, the knot in your stomach. Acknowledge the fear itself. You might say to yourself, I am feeling fear about security right now. This mindful observation creates a space between the fear and your reaction, allowing you to respond with wisdom rather than being driven by unconscious panic. It helps you see that the argument is not about money, but about the fear it triggers. 2. Understand impermanence and non-self, anicca and anatta. Deeply contemplate anicca, impermanence, and anatta, non-self, in relation to money. Understand that all financial situations are impermanent. They rise and fall. Your job, your investments, your possessions, all are subject to change. And your identity, your worth, is not tied to these external factors. You are not your bank account. When you truly internalize this, the fear of loss diminishes. You can engage with money practically, but without the desperate clinging that causes suffering. This understanding allows you to hold money lightly, as a tool, not as a source of identity or ultimate security. 3. Practice generosity, dana. One of the most powerful antidotes to fear and attachment is dana, generosity. When you give, even a small amount, you actively counteract the fear of not having enough. You experience the abundance that comes from sharing rather than hoarding. This doesn't mean being irresponsible with your finances, but cultivating a mindset of openness and trust. Generosity, whether of money, time, or kindness, reminds you of your inherent capacity to contribute and connect, shifting your focus from scarcity to abundance. 4. Cultivate contentment, santuthi. The Buddha taught the importance of santuthi, contentment, finding satisfaction with what you have, rather than constantly craving more. This doesn't mean complacency or a lack of ambition, but a deep appreciation for the present moment and its blessings. When you cultivate contentment, the endless pursuit of external validation through money diminishes. You realize that true happiness comes from within, not from the size of your bank account. This inner contentment reduces the pressure on financial resources and transforms arguments into discussions about shared values and mindful living. 5. Practice compassionate communication, karuna and samavaka. When financial discussions arise, approach them with karuna, compassion, and samavaka, right speech. Recognize that your partner's financial fears are as real and valid as your own, even if they manifest differently. Listen deeply to the underlying anxieties, rather than just the surface complaints about money. Speak with kindness, clarity, and honesty, avoiding blame or judgment. Frame discussions around shared goals and values, rather than individual shortcomings. This compassionate approach transforms a battlefield into a space for mutual understanding and collaboration. Financial conflicts are rarely just about money. They are often a mirror reflecting our deepest fears about insecurity, loss, and control. By applying the timeless wisdom of the Buddha, cultivating mindfulness, understanding impermanence and non-self, practicing generosity and contentment, and engaging in compassionate communication, we can address these underlying fears. We can transform our relationship with money from a source of conflict to a tool for peace, and move from a life driven by fear to one lived with true freedom and security. What hidden fears are driving your financial decisions, and what peace awaits you when you bring awareness to them? If this exploration has resonated with you, please consider subscribing to the Noble Wisdom Path. Share this video with someone who might benefit from this perspective, and let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Together, let's walk the path towards inner peace and true freedom.